Hello everyone! Such a joy to have you in this shared space. In this reading, I'm going to give you an opportunity to pick one of 3 cards that you may resonate with. Just go with your intuition. When picking, you can pick based off of imagery. Generally, your first gut instinct is the best way to discern which pile is best for you. So I'm going to show you the 3 cards, and then we're going to jump in, and I'm going to have timestamps in the description to help you speed to your section of the reading. Okay, so the first card is A Hush Holds. And these cards are from the Wild Chorus Oracle deck. A Hush Holds with the Snow Lynx. Pile number 2, we have Clearing with the Sacred Smoke. In pile 3, we have Blessed Unrest with the Crow, the Raven. Welcome all of my beautiful pile number 1s. If you chose this card, A Hush Holds, this is your reading. And an interesting fact is the first time that I filmed the intro to your section, I called you pile number 2. So maybe there is a message in that pile also for you if you initially felt drawn to that pile. Okay, so it feels like you're being invited to redirect your energy and this period of kind of forced stillness or reflection or contemplation may have come in the wake of the road is very loud, so that feels part of the message. A very kind of busy season of life where there was a lot going on, but something kind of transpired that you may be viewing as disappointing, as maybe even framing it as some kind of a failure. Like something may have come up, and maybe even some shame with that, of being shame specifically in some capacity coming up around some kind of perceived failure. And one of the kind of streams of messages for this group is around relationships and relating, and maybe something that was kind of disappointing or some kind of a letdown or some kind of way that you were endowing is the word that's coming through. So maybe there's some financial aspect to this reading or this message. Endowing some sort of attributing power to some other person, maybe in a romantic context, maybe in a business context, projecting onto them a lot of expectations around the Lovers, the Magician, and the Empress in the reversed, clarifying the Knight of Cups in reversed, some kind of expectation that kind of feels like it was not really met, or it was kind of let down in some capacity, or some kind of mistaken attraction. So maybe like something that was like a relationship to another person. Someone was initially attracting, interesting. Maybe there was some sort of like interesting, I don't know, some spell work or something going on where someone was attracting someone, but it was a way to attract a relationship that's distracting in some capacity. But there was some kind of a letdown, whether this was a breakup or some kind of break in the kind of, it's showing up as it was initially a golden period of like being around a person, and it just feels like a high feeling, like, wow, every time I just feel so great, like, let's keep this going. And then there was a dip, like there was a turning point in the relationship where the person revealed to you a piece of information or showed a different aspect of themselves that kind of took down the veil of projection that you had onto them, seeing them as this golden person delivering you this golden period of your life. And there's a flipping and a disillusioning and a kind of removal of the rose-colored glasses that did occur here, where there was a falling off the grace period. And what the message with the hush holds is that now the intuition that I get is whenever you're finding this reading, maybe you're at this kind of lull, feeling this energy of the lull. In the work of Lacey Phillips, who developed the field of to be magnetic, her kind of lexicon includes the term the magic dark, which I'm feeling is relevant to this pile of, this is like maybe even kind of a rock bottom energy, where there's a way that some area of your life that was previously giving you approval or validation has been removed. And now the quest is, how do I find that inner reservoir, that inner spark of inspiration that allows me to validate myself as worthy of creative undertakings? And this is kind of showing up as interesting, is that the main way that creative energy has been accessed in the past was through dramatic relationships, or at least interesting relationships, or kind of putting a lot of energy into external connections with other people, and then kind of source or projecting, being attracted to like artsy types or artistic people and associating with those people in order to get doses of what only you can give to yourself. Interesting. And this is kind of a like a come to Jesus moment with Judgment, where it's like, maybe I need to tend to the inner creative spring within, with the hush holds of when the kind of external stimulus is pulled away and I'm alone with myself, what do I have? And this is actually like a very potent creative energy when we wait, when we're with the silence. Because as you can see, and I think in the book that goes with this deck, it talks about how we don't know what's under the links. They're kind of waiting to pounce on something. And you're ready to make a call about something and to redistribute more of your energy towards the things that actually matter to you, and to be kind of called out. This can feel a little bit like a calling out energy, but it's ultimately loving, of looking at the ways that you attributed magic and fulfillment and excitement and feeling value as a person primarily through other people, which puts a lot of pressure on other people to provide magic and fulfillment and creativity and value to you. That puts a lot of pressure on them and on the relationship. So it feels specifically tied to a relationship context for this reading. But let me pull one other card. How is pile number 1 best invited to work with this quiet period, this hush? The Hermit. Wow, the same energy. The Hermit and a hush holds. You're in a quiet point, and the energy is like, let's sit down, let's reflect, let's take a beat, let's evaluate let's take a moment to get quiet enough to see what has actually been going on. This comes up a lot where we kind of jump so quickly to spinning of like, I don't know, like it feels chaotic, but like it's just crazy. But if we take just a deep breath, we take a beat, sometimes it clicks in and we're able to make some sort of astounding revelation about how some sort of the origin of some pattern and the road to healing that said pattern. So I think this message is complete, pile 1. Okay, welcome all of my beautiful pile number 2s. If you chose the clearing card, this is your reading. It feels like, wow. I just want to say, the energy here is pretty intense. So if you're feeling a lot of charge, a lot of like energies that you can't quite put your finger on, this is your validation that what you feel is true. It's real, it's real, it's real. It feels like the moment of clearing is like a pivot point. It's a moment of immediacy where we need to kind of reset the compass, where we need to kind of shake off some kind of heavy energy that we've pretty recently moved towards, and kind of set the slate to be a clear, receptive, open space to facilitate moving towards what we want to move towards, if that makes sense. Kind of clearing the slate, shaking off a lot of energy that may have become kind of stagnant in some capacity. But ultimately, the energy in this pile feels really exciting. This collective feels like you're moving towards a lot of interesting, new, exciting ventures, simultaneously walking away from something, really realizing that you're ready to reorient towards something that feels more fulfilling and more on purpose. And simultaneously, this energy kind of like something is no longer fulfilling, something is no longer something that has been invested in financially, energetically, emotionally up until now. It's time to pivot. And the clearing moment may have been precipitated by this, like a project that didn't get fully fulfilled. Some kind of, again, kind of similar to pile 1, there's a kind of connective thread here of something that was a little bit disappointing. But the way that this group has chosen to respond to that initial disappointment is to double down on what's exciting, which I really love about this group. Like there's a way that you're really able and willing and excited to follow the sacred spark within and what makes you really, really excited. But the 6 of Swords in the reversed combined with the 8 of Cups, it's like there's a little bit of hesitancy here around approaching something in a different way, of clearing the slate. There's a little bit of a like internalized voice of the patriarch here, where it's like when everything gets really quiet, there's hesitancy to throw something out, or that's the story at least. You think you're throwing something out, but you're not. It's just getting transmuted in some way, like the smoke from a flame. Moving towards the Wheel of Fortune. Wow. So if you sense that you've walked away from something, but don't quite have the answer or like an obvious offer about what the replacement thing is of the thing that you're walking away from, but you just have a feeling like it's done. This is kind of the energy of like leaving a job before you have a new one lined up, or saying no before you have something to say yes to, but you're so ready to precipitate stepping into the unknown, even when that kind of internalized patriarch comes up of like, that's irresponsible. So maybe just noticing if those are kind of voices that are coming up. The Wheel of Fortune clarified by the World and the 10 of Swords in the reverse position. It feels like a long-awaited thing, like something that was ready to pop for a long time. And that maybe there's even some sort of piece here around like obscured justice, where it's like when you take that step, when you initiate the turning of the wheel through your own energy, through initiating some kind of, I don't know if it's, quitting a job or leaving a relationship or some kind of exit, there's a way that the energy here is like knowing that something was wrong for a long time, but delaying, and then now is some sort of tipping point or catalyst moment where you're finally able to take that step. With the Fool on the bottom of the deck, you're ready to take that brave, bold leap and be in unknown, uncharted waters here. And it's like the energy of being, the word dead is coming up, like being in a life that felt dull or dead. Sounds kind of extreme, but that's the words, we're gonna run with it. Being in a situation or a life circumstance that felt dead, but like continuing to drive it, being like so persistent that you're like, it's like the energy of beating a dead horse, which again, such a violent saying, but the energy of just like, giddy up, like I know this isn't aligned, maybe this has been like a situation that you've had to kind of stick out for way longer than felt like it was your due time to be in, but you're ready to take this leap, and it's really, really exciting. It's really exciting. Is there anything else that pile number 2 needs to know? Okay, so for some of you, it doesn't feel like as clean of an exit where it's like, okay, I'm done with this, on to the next. It's kind of like you're in this interesting space of balancing or juggling different realities. Some of you are at the point where you're not yet ready to take the leap to build something new, but you're playing with the possibility of what if it is, and that is just as important and sacred of a place to be. And so I just want to honor you that if you're in that sacred wavering, if this kind of audacious is the word that's coming through, if this audacious part of you is kind of coming up, that's like, what's over that hillside, what's over that horizon, what would happen if I crossed this ocean and I began again, that's an important and sacred place to be. Okay, a very, very interesting message in the energy of group number 3 with Blessed Unrest. As you can see, I'm really drawn to how it looks like the crow is trying to express something, to speak something, but they're having to scream. They're having to really put all of their being into communicating this message, and maybe it's not being received or heard, which is a frustrating place to be. So I first want to validate you with that if you're finding yourself into, and the other way that this card can show up as just being in a physical environment where it's just chaos, loud, a lot of energy, and it's hard to tune in to what's true. And that kind of came up in the tarot spread that I'm going to share with you for this group. Okay, so first we have the Sun in the reverse position, clarified by the 7 of Swords, which can feel not ideal. I'll say that. It can feel like we're having to kind of manipulate or cheat or kind of sneak in some capacity, which is not a good feeling, to express who we are. In other words, feeling like we need to dim some true part of ourselves, and kind of feeling like we're symbolically stealing. We have to steal moments. It's kind of like in our regular lives, we can't actually express something or be who we truly are. So we kind of have to experience that pure joy of authenticity in kind of stolen moments is the way it's coming through, where it's kind of like a side thing. And those moments are really nourishing. They fill you up, and they're important because they make it so you are able to deal with the rest of your life, which feels like a lot is not feeling as if it's in alignment right now, which is tricky. Moving in to the 6 of Pentacles in the reverse position, and then the Queen of Cups. This feels like an intentional time of boundary setting, of being, if it's this chaotic environment or people who aren't respecting you or seeing you for who you truly are, this kind of very deep well of self-belief, self-trust, and self-worth with the Queen of Cups, someone who's really in touch with the emotional stream. You're touching a chord of yourself that is feeling betrayed or taken advantage of for some. There's definitely, it may not be for everyone in this collective, or it might be more overt or covert depending on who is receiving this message, but elements of injustice and the need to no longer stand for something. A lot of this might be kind of as simple as if there's a workplace environment or a home life situation that's really loud or chaotic, or just a way that you can, even in small ways, erect some sort of boundary or protecting your own energy being really, really important to this deck. So if it's putting in earbuds, or just so you can be in your own kind of energetic space even when you're in the chaotic environment before you can fully exit, if that makes sense. And so if there are small ways that can make you more comfortable even, or more able to feel like you have access to yourself, because it feels like a primary characteristic of a lot of these environments for a lot of people in this collective are feeling, hold on, I lost the stream, are feeling disconnected from yourself, or that you need to over explain or have a right to something about just who you are, and that's super innate, but it feels like you've been in some ways kind of distanced from it by some other kind of convoluted situation. We have Justice, the Moon, and the Five of Swords in the reverse position, clarified by also Temperance upright. Like a potent period of alchemy to be done with conflict in some ways. Like I see some people in this collective being like, I'm just done. Like it was the straw that broke the camel's back, aka you, and you're like, I'm out. And then you kind of are able to get to more of a quiet place where you're able to see through this blessed unrest, and kind of there's a way that energy is redirected within this group, where once it was super chaotic, and then it gets to kind of a still point, and then it gets to a really creative point. Like all of the energy that you spent, maybe this is like a past thing that you've come out of, that all of that energy that you spent or are spending managing chaos or just getting through, it's like all of this deep reservoir gets to open up, where now you get to redirect all of that energy into creation, and something gets resolved in that act of you finally setting the boundary. Maybe this is for some of us in this collective an ancestral thing. There's a way of like a lot of the lineages is showing up specifically around a lot of women who weren't able to set boundaries and to say no when they really wanted to say no. And so now by setting these boundaries, by saying no, you're liberating some kind of creative capacity, allowing justice to be served, which sounds dramatic, but you're allowing justice to be expressed as justice, and to allow some kind of murky. There's a way that boundaries in this collective have gotten very convoluted in some ways, and it's hard to know what's real, what's mine, and what's not mine, because let's find out, because why? What is this energetic boundary confusion? For some people in this collective, it's the connection to the distracting person is, okay, that's interesting. I just saw 3 white butterflies dancing around each other, and then one of the butterflies flew in one direction and the 2 other butterflies flew in another direction. Like they just kind of said peace out and went their separate ways. And there's an energy here where in this collective you're being given a clean opportunity to make your exit and to go a different way. However, if you choose to stay, or even tell yourself that by, even if you decide that you resent the situation but you're still in it in some capacity, you're still kind of in that energetic tornado of the other 2 butterflies, if that makes sense. And it's interesting that 2 cards fell out, which is, I feel like, is like the 2 butterflies that were like, so you could choose to go along with this situation where it's kind of this, again, very like intellectual rushing energy, this very much the energy of blessed unrest. I don't know, for some of us in this collective, it might be like for some of you guys, it might be like you're in a workplace where like the head boss person is like maybe a little bit like young for the role, if that makes sense, or they have like a leadership style that's very like leap now, think later, very much like let's just go in this direction. But let me find out if you're the 3rd butterfly and you're going a different direction. Yeah, so for some people in this group, you want to start your own thing, like you're ready to individuate in some capacity, to try something new, and you're in this clean exit. You're being given an opportunity, the space, especially the space mentally, the peace mentally, that's huge, that's big, to just have enough space to nurture your own, to get into touch with even what is my own voice, what is my relationship to my creativity. And there's an opportunity to, if it's being an entrepreneur or trying out a new venture or a new project, and however this looks in your specific situation, I'm feeling like you might be the 3rd butterfly and you're ready to potentially blow up some pre-existing thing and begin again. But it's not showing up as blowing up as in messy. It's a clean exit, returning to some dream that might be sidelined, put on the back burner, but it's ready. Interesting, bread. I think about sustenance. It's a dream that will sustain you. It's a dream that will feed you, and maybe it's been sidelined for long enough, so it's ready to be picked back up. I hope this reading was helpful and sending you lots of big heart love. Mwah, mwah.